All right, this is wonderful to have you guys here. I'm going to look and see who's here. I love looking and seeing faces. I see Sandy, I see Jackie, Beth, Mary, another Jackie, Buddy Hill, love it. Buddy, I think Buddy Hill, is that you, Buddy, or is this somebody else using your account? I can't remember. Somebody once had their spouse using it. Who knows? I see Catherine, Agnes, Carrie, love it. All right, guys. This is wonderful. I want you to move your mouse, if you would, please. Go to the bottom of your screen, right in the center. You're going to see a green share screen button. Go to the left. You're going to see a chat box. I love it. I love that you guys are already doing it. Mary from Maryland, another Mary from Iowa. Greetings from Sacramento. That's Jackie. Please type your name in. Tell me where you're from. I'd love to hear this. We're going to have it's going to be a small webinar tonight. We're going to have about 25 people is my guess, maybe 30, but we have about 80 or 90 registered. And I have to start out this webinar. First, I have to introduce myself. I always forget to do that. My name is Sara Kooperman. I'm the CEO of SCW. I'm Sammy, Louie, Zach, and Max's mom, and I have a dog named Buster. Okay, there you go. Oh yeah, and a husband. Poor guy's always last. All right. I love these ladies that are on this webinar. We scrambled around a bit to make sure we all had internet and we could all see each other. So thank you guys for being patient with me on that. This whole idea was Michelle Leachman's, okay? So I'm going to start by giving you a description of the webinar. We really thought not just about finding out your way in the industry, but finding out your why, trying to figure out how you're authentic, building a following, creating a positive atmosphere in your facility, teaching tricks, improving your income potential. We've transitioned from pre-pandemic to pandemic. Now, I think we're post-pandemic. In 2 weeks, we could be pandemic again. You know, we keep flipping. But Michelle did a wonderful presentation for us at SCW, and we really wanted to spring off of it. Michelle has a master's degree in human movement, performance, and exercise science. She's been a former assistant professor. Currently, she's a master trainer for CORE. She's also the manager for the American Council on Exercise as far as continuing education credits go. So she's really in there when it comes to what's going on with education. And we're really pleased that she came with us today. And I've got 3 amazing women, Krista, Kathleen, and Becca, all work with CKB, which is actually a fitness program that they've co-founded together during the pandemic. How crazy is that? Start a business during the pandemic. Becca Aura, she's Aurora, I always do that, is a co-founder, and she began as a group fitness class junkie and started her career as an instructor much later in life. And she loves the statement, it's never too late to start something new. And I really like this because you guys, we are shorthanded out there. All right. Clubs need instructors. They need a variety of instructors. And I really have to hand it to Krista and Kathleen, who extended themselves and pulled Becca probably kicking and screaming into our industry. So we're glad that Becca has joined us. Kathleen Fuller, she's a co-founder of CKB, and she co-leads and co-creates the workouts and really works on building a community. She holds multiple fitness certifications as a group fitness instructor for the past 13 years. And Krista is also a co-founder of CKB. We just yanked them all from the same crowd. And she leads and co-creates these live stream. She is an AFIS certified fitness instructor for over 10 years. I think she holds other certifications as well. So this is really cool to see this. I think you guys all know that I'm a fitness instructor as well. I think I'm certified by everybody. I think I have gone through probably 40 different certifications. And I know the people on this call that are watching this webinar are probably the same as well. But we're now coming out of this pandemic. And what can I do to set myself apart from the crowd and still remain a part of a teaching team? And I'm starting with you, Michelle, because I love what you said before we turned the camera on.
Yeah, so I think that this question can resonate with any one of us, and hopefully everybody on this listening in or watching the pre-recording. So what we talk about is having that authenticity about yourself. So I'd like to start with saying that find your why. Why are you in the fitness industry? Why do you show up? And with that, have accountability to show up. So when we're talking, about what drives that, I think it really is important to develop trust, to be prepared ahead of time. So put in the work to build your music, your playlists, develop some type of language, whether it's something that you're going to talk to your whole class about, see what facts are, in the news that day, or something that just drives a little bit more for your people and develop that community.
And I like to hear that, because it's not just about, okay, I'm going to have my choreography and I'm going to have my music. I like that you say, okay, what am I also going to talk about today? What might be our focus for the class? What's going on in politics, or what's going on? Are we going to wear a mask at our club, or this and that? And I love, Krista, you also made some comments about being prepared, and I really enjoyed those as well.
Right. So it's really important to kind of have an idea of what you're doing before you get into class. For me, also, it's being very authentic, to be myself. I kind of throw all of it out there, very personable. I love to talk to my participants prior to class, find out a little bit about them. What do they like? Do they have to modify something? Can I help them before we start? Same thing after class, tag them in a picture, come on back, let's do this together, we're stronger together. Those things are all very, very important. When you reach out to someone and give a little bit of yourself, you get some back. Got to give some to get some.
And I like what you said, tag them in a photo, put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, engage your group, because it's a struggle now. I don't know how about, how all you guys feel, but I'm teaching a Zoom class and I'm struggling to make sure people come, because they're Zoomed out and it's summer and gorgeous outside, and I want to keep them committed. So I do, oh my gosh, I'm teaching this yoga class. I literally invite the dog to come in. They love my dog. I think they like the dog better than they like me. I know I like the dog better than half my children, so that's where you go. But it's like anything that'll make it more personable, and we do have to use social media now more than ever. Kathleen, you're nodding. What are some of the things you do?
Before class, preparing before class, I love to always bring new stuff all the time. I know that's not always a good thing for all the people, but if it helps you as a person too, that you're going to feel alive when you bring and look at your music and something new, it's going to feel good to them because you feel good about it. I also like to end class with something that's motivational. If you're struggling that day, or you can just feel the empowerment from somebody, I always like to say something that's on a positive note at the end of class. That's how I love to end my classes.
And I think that's fantastic, because I think all too often we're living on CNN or Fox News. You know what I mean? Like, okay, what building has collapsed today? All right, and this is terrible to say, but who's died of COVID? What's going on in India? I mean, we're living in kind of this depressing world, shall we say. And if you can bring something, and also I want to mention something myself. I have to tell you, Krista has everybody's at Krista's home. Krista, Kathleen, and Becca. Of course, Michelle's in San Diego, and I kind of hate her a little bit because San Diego is so fabulous. But they're all in a home. The number one thing they didn't mention, they're flexible. They were all sharing one screen, and I kind of begged them, can you move into different rooms so that and come up on the screen? And they didn't bat an eye. They smiled. They were flexible. And how many times do you walk in a room and your sound system doesn't work, or your mic is off, or the equipment that used to be there yesterday is not in there today, or the music doesn't work. And you're like, what happened to that? I know I created a playlist. Where is it? Where is it? And you can't find it. The flexibility these ladies have shown is amazing. And that's something we do need to bring. Becca, what are your thoughts on setting yourself apart to make it special for our clients?
I try to make a huge point to read the room while I'm in the class, especially if you're teaching choreography. You might find yourself thinking 4 counts ahead, thinking about what's coming, or you can even get lost in your own workout, but you have to make sure to look at how Susie in the back row is doing. And if she's got her head down, sometimes the most uplifting thing is to move yourself over there. If it's a type of class where you can do that and get beside her and to watch, oh my gosh, it makes me emotional to watch people lift their head up because you stood beside them. That's why I'm an instructor. Those are the kind of things. And again, like paying attention to, sometimes I'll notice someone's doing their lunge a little off. So when the class is over, I'm asking them, are you having trouble with this? And they'll be so touched that I noticed something. And it's about the people. It's about bringing love and encouragement to the people. And that's what sets you apart, because again, with the being flexible, there have been times I've come in back when I was really a slave to my notes when I was doing a fitness class, and I'd be like, and I'd forgot my notes. And I was like, I need to not let this room full of people see how terrified I am right now and just have fun. And I winged it. And it was the best lesson for me to just wing it and play the list and lift weights and get it done, rather than, because if I would have been panicked, they would have had a terrible class. And I learned, you bring your joy, you be flexible, read the room, and try to be there for everybody, and you're going to have a successful class.
That's wonderful. That's a great message. And that leads me, Michelle, I'm going back to you here, because again, before we turned the camera on, we were talking about, what do you think of like choreographed programs versus freestyle programs? Because Becca's talking about notes and having everything set in a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, really quick, I think it's important to note that we all, as fitness instructors who are in this industry, when this whole pandemic happened and we had to find ways to alternatively deliver ourselves still, like, we're the people who do the handstands and the cartwheels. And so I think out of any industry, the fitness industry nailed it at being able to adapt to these unforeseen situations. But when we talk about, I guess from a CEC standpoint, what I've seen personally, just overseeing so many different courses that are coming in, the creativity piece is something to not lose as an instructor. So for everybody listening, have that creativity piece. But I think it's also very important when you take a program like Zumba or Les Mills, you're being taught some type of choreographed rhythm, or you're learning so much kind of at the base level. Make that the foundation, but then learn how to build upon that. And what we've seen, to be honest, I mean, the bigger companies were able to utilize their marketing capabilities so successfully during the pandemic. And just because they've grown over time as well, that we see more people are seeking out those already pre-choreographed types of routines, types of exercise programming, because they've been able to market to more people. But I think there's a lot to be said for the new up and coming, where you get a different take on rhythm or movement or a fun name that's really catchy.
I think I have to agree with you. And I think it's interesting. I wonder what's going to happen post-pandemic. Like Michelle, I wonder, because we have been able to, a lot of these programs that provide the choreography through the pandemic, that the new people we've certified and trained and things in these modalities, do you think we'll probably end up with more choreographed programs when the pandemic lifts?
I think a lot of smaller companies have tried to expand because of the online component. So if they can gain enough of that visual traction, we'll see more of the diversification, in a sense, of different programs. So you won't see necessarily Turbo Kick or the Metcon necessarily all gyms. But I think that that's going to take time, and it also takes those different facilities, gyms, big gyms, to also promote those type of new courses, because I think that a lot of gyms get set in their ways in that they have Zumba on the schedule, they have yoga flow, they have cycling, and all of a sudden when a new weird name comes in, people are like, this is unfamiliar, and then they gauge it and there's low enrollment, and then they drop the class. So I think gyms have to work with instructors in these new programs as well to be able to help those succeed as well.
And I agree with you. And I also think the instructors are very, very powerful in that, in driving their own programs. Krista, I see you kind of nodding with that. I feel like we were the heroes. Okay, you know, the group exercise, it's like my people. We were the heroes during the beginning of the pandemic when everything was shut down and there was nowhere to go. And we said, all right, I'll just do a class on Facebook and it's free, and we're the heroes. And now we're coming back and it's a little scary. I think we've lost our footing. I'm not quite sure. What do you think, Krista?
I think, you know, a lot of those big companies, Les Mills, some of the dance fitness companies, they did not allow us to teach virtually. Like that was a no game thing. And when the pandemic hit, we started taking our own things, like you said, and said, you know what, people need us. We need fitness. We have to keep moving. We have to keep everyone engaged. I mean, goodness. So we took our own stuff and put it out there. Meanwhile, some of those bigger companies were saying, okay, do it. Take our format, take our choreography and share it. Get your people, keep sharing it, because the gyms were closed. They were losing as the smaller companies and people like us that were choreographing our own things were kind of gaining. I mean, we went from teaching solely in gyms to creating a company and being a live stream platform. So now we're able to, some of us are certified in Les Mills formats and some other different formats, and we're able to kind of incorporate all of that. So it's really nice.
Yeah, it's SCW has a program that's called WATERinMOTION that's pre-choreographed aqua, because a lot of land instructors we found want to get into the pool and like, I don't really know how to do it. I know how to cue, you know, I know how to motivate. I've got a nice smile and a lot of energy, and I need an extra class to pick up, but I didn't know where to start. So we did a pre-choreographed, it's kind of based on the Les Mills system, but how are you going to teach water exercise virtually? What? Everybody hop in your bathtub, let's go. So we created a program called SEAT, S-E-A-T. And I don't even know if I know the acronym. Seated Exercise. Oh my gosh, I don't even know what it stands for. Sean Carlson, type it in the chat box if you can find it for me. It's basically a chair program, because we thought our aqua people don't necessarily want to go jogging, right? So we created it, but it's very hard to keep with the pandemic. If it's a choreographed program and that's the way their system was, how do you adapt? I mean, Zumba helped their instructors all do it, which I thought was pretty cool that they did that. Kathleen, how did you adapt during the pandemic? Did you go heavily into live streaming?
Oh, yes, we did. We streamed a lot until we got our classes back on the schedule. Not all of our classes are back on the schedule, so we did stream. Sometimes
we stream too, yeah.
Sometimes we would stream twice a day, but now that we're trying to get back into the system and the gyms, I feel like they're still not the same. Especially, I am a Les Mills instructor also, and we kind of have to stay on our little spot. And so it was hard to interact with people because I am a person that likes to interact. So I feel like it's slowly coming back. But yes, I highly enjoy live streaming live.
How are your live classes going? Like your in-person programs, are people coming back?
I think they're doing both. We live stream at different times of the day. Of course, our 1 o'clock live streams, we don't have that many people, but we do have a lot of people that will do it later on in the day. But yeah, sometimes on a Saturday, we'll have more people join us live because it's a prime time.
Okay, so people are coming back, and you ladies are located where again?
Tennessee.
In Tennessee. Okay, so you're located in Tennessee, and is it pretty open there?
We right now our live classes at the gym, we are capped at 25.
Okay,
So
so you're
and they have to sign up online,
uh-huh.
and that's how, yeah. So
Do they wear a mask? Do people have to wear a mask?
we do not.
If you're vaccinated, if you're unvaccinated, do you have to wear a mask or no?
The recommendation is that if you are vaccinated, you do not have to wear a mask. If you're unvaccinated, you should wear a mask into the facility until you get into your group fitness room where you are in your spot. You can social distance. You may take your mask off at that point.
Oh, that's interesting. That's it's very sensible. You know,
Mhm.
I was just in New York this past weekend. I went to see Bruce Springsteen on Broadway. How
Mhm.
awesome was that? Do you know that in New York City, you could not get in, and there were thousands of people going in to see him in this theater without showing your vaccination card on your cell phone. Every single person in that theater was vaccinated. That's amazing. I was surprised. I was kind of surprised. Anyway, it's nice to see, Kathleen, that people are coming back. Are people like upset that only 25 can get in the room, or are you guys selling out, Kathleen, with 25 people per class?
It's hit and miss. You know, it's summertime, so it's hard to tell right now because things are opening up and people are taking their vacations right now. It'll be up and down. We'll see a fluctuation of it will be packed and then we'll have half the capacity. But at one time people were very upset because they would have to sign up right when you would sign up 24 hours ahead and within seconds it would be filled up and people would get upset.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Becca, and what is it like for you to go back? Like, how is that working?
I loved going back because the energy is different in the room than online, even though I love working out with those two gals, Krista and Kathleen. We have a lot of energy together, but live stream, it's just the camera. But going back and seeing your people in person, it's been great. And it just reminds you, just the in-person connection. It reminds you, this is why I do all this. And it's been really cool to see the people that are coming to our in-person classes that are still like, I'm so glad you have the live stream format, because when I can't come to class, I can get online, or I can do what y'all did yesterday, stuff like that.
And what are some of the resources that you can utilize to make yourself stand out more online or outside of your current course circle? What I mean by that is, we've got our following, but now how do we get more people to come back? Because there's people that have just been sitting on their couch for 18 months and they've gained this weight and they're like, well, I should go to the gym, but I don't know if I feel comfortable doing that.
We utilize social media a lot. We've taken some time to pull in some outside help from someone who's really good at it. We've also just taken it to the streets. We'll go to parking lots in areas that aren't right next door just to get the word out and get people moving, just to get them moving again. And it still feels very grassroots for us. We're just right around here. We want to do more with that to reach more people. This right here, hopefully will reach more people. But we, social media has been the biggest given, and we're learning as we go with that.
And that's
social
great.
media is huge. I have people reach out to me all the time, that it's about your joy and how that comes across in a post. And I post about fitness a lot. And there are people, what do you eat? Can you help me with my nutrition? I'm injured. Can I do something at home, like the chair workout? So many things. Where are your classes? Where do you teach? What do you do? People are drawn to that. And if you kind of throw that all out there And it's even just about that one person that reached out, that was struggling, that, you know, you can message and help, and maybe they'll show their face in your class. That's cool.
That's great. I'm also gonna throw this out, like Catherine, Beth, Jackie, Sandy, Buddy, you know, Mary, you guys type in the chat box if there's something you're using that seems to be working. And I do want to really thank Sean Carlson. She's hiding behind the SCW logo. She helps put our events together. She typed in the chat box. It's called SEAT, S-E-A-T, Supported Exercise for Ageless Training. And it became so popular with our Water in Motion people that we're going to do a choreographed program. It's 6 songs and it's 30 minutes. And then you can do 30 minutes of the choreographed stuff and add an extra 15 minutes or 30 minutes of your own stuff, depending on your group. So we thought that was kind of a, you know, there's always a silver lining, and it's hard to find it in the pandemic, but there's always a silver lining in everything we do. Michelle, should I focus my efforts more on virtual or actually getting clients back into the studio? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so just as the rest of the team here said, you know, teaching virtual, we had to do it in a sense to survive, but also there was a lot of freedom in getting to present virtually or teach a class virtually, and it does allow the convenience for people. This was something that I talked about at the IDEA conference last weekend, was that a lot of people still like the virtual setting because it's free in a sense for a lot of people, or it can be less money than a gym membership with the added group fitness piece, depending on the gym, of course. But for some things that we see more from our fitness influencers, let's say out there, is that we see it's a one size fits all. They'll put something out there and people can watch it or they can't. They don't get that connection piece. So my answer to that would be get people back into the gym setting, because you do build that connection. I love looking at you all right now, but I have to look at Sara on the left side of my screen and Krista on the right, and our eye contact is developing differently, even though it's only been a year and a half. I think that those are things that we need to keep focus on. So bringing people into a gym setting, having that community, of course, promoting it through social media afterwards, make them feel like they are a part of community. I think a lot of people, including all of us as instructors, we need that sense of a group again. We need that sense of family and to be supported and to empower one another. So I think if we can champion others while we're in that gym setting, and then have others that we network with that also help champion us when we're not in that physical setting, it's going to be the key to getting us back in there. But then it's also goes back to what you said, getting people in the gym also takes staffing, and the world is short staffed on trainers. They've found other places to go.
Right, and other avenues to pursue and other ways to teach. I mean, there's a lot of instructors that's like, I'm teaching online or I'm training online. I'm happy. I'm making more money than I made in the gym, and I'm not going to go back. But Michelle, because of your position with ACE, I'm sure you get a lot of like the continuing education applications. What are some of the fun or interesting classes that you've seen emerge out of the pandemic?
Oh my gosh, I approve over about 4,400 different course applications a year, with a little over 800 different providers. So a lot come through. I've never been asked that question, and now that's going to be all that I think about.
And we didn't plan this. She didn't know I was going to ask this.
Some that just have resonated with me because I love music. I love moving. I am very much from Idaho, so I pretend like I can hip hop, and I love teaching Zumba, but I know that I don't, like other people can that are skilled at it. But a class that I saw, actually one of the members of the Women in Fitness Association, she founded, and I don't know the name of it, but it's a mix of, you start with some yoga, you get the body kind of warm and keep it like a dynamic motion. And then it's like an immersion of hip hop and turbo kick as if they had a baby. And then you end again with yoga. And think about it for a second, it's like, I don't know if that works, but then you do it and your body's moving in all these ways. And afterwards you just feel fulfilled, which I personally love. So I thought that one was pretty unique.
So it's like fusion classes are unique.
Yeah, actually, there's been a lot more fusion classes. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, there's a ton more that's emerged.
Oh,
And
that's
a lot more
interesting.
yoga that are now seeking out continuing education because their students are giving 200 hours plus.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, that's great. And Krista, how did you guys come up with CKB? Where did it, you know, who were the parents that that delivered this baby? I think the three of you are all parents, but how did this emerge?
So Kathleen is my best friend. So we've been together for a long, long time, 12 years. And we've been working out with each other for that long. And when the pandemic hit, we were like, oh, okay. We're big fit, obviously, we're all big fitness people. So we had to keep it going. So we were like, yes, come to my house. Let's work out together. And Becca was the third. We love to box. We love to dance. We actually created a class called All the Things, and we put different types of things into that class, just like your fusion class that you were talking about. But one day we live streamed in the backyard outside. It was like 35 degrees. We were freezing, hats, mittens, shivering. Like we need to call ourselves something. What should we call ourselves? And that's where we were like, we just got done cardio kickboxing. And we were like, cardio kickboxing, Krista, Kathleen, Becca. Whoa, oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, you would think that we're not the, yeah.
You know what? I'm humiliated that I just got the CKB
Me
thing.
too.
Krista, Kathleen, Becca, that's, yes.
I thought it was cardio kickboxing.
It's actually our names. So yes.
There you go. But it works. It works.
And we love to
beautifully.
box, so that's where it came from.
But that's very inspiring because, sometimes you're like, you have something, all of us on this call, we have something. We have people that love our classes, love what we do. And for some reason, we haven't stopped teaching. We haven't stopped training, and we're still committed to what we do. And you guys are showing up on these webinars, you're attending conferences, you're getting certified by people that Michelle is approving. We're still committed. So that's great. I love Mary just said, and I like this, I communicate a lot with my students via the Facebook group. So she is a private Facebook group, I imagine, before and after class via email or probably messaging. I'm in the Midwest and currently still Zooming. I have a good retention. In my location, people are still reluctant to return to indoor classes. During the summer, I've done hybrid classes outdoors to capture those non-Zoom people. It's been good. Just concerned about what the fall will bring. So Becca, what do you think the fall is going to bring for us?
Oh, I try not, I don't know. I mean, and that's why I think it's good that we have both right now. We've kept the live stream going because I want to keep moving. I want to keep giving, but I've loved seeing the gym memberships pick back up. I mean, on one hand, I feel like as more people are feeling safe coming, they'll keep that trend. But every time I turn on the news, I hear a different report. So I guess if you're asking me what I feel like those reports are going to be, I don't like to be dark, but it feels like there's not great things ahead right now with the new variant.
Yeah.
And I'm not a doctor, so I can't speak to that very well, but is that what you're asking?
Yeah, no, I hear it. And I feel you, because for me, at least being vaccinated gave me a sense of freedom because I could go see Bruce Springsteen. I mean,
He helped you.
he and I are like this. And I am so, you don't even want to know. My husband's been to over 50 of his concerts.
Oh, wow.
It's a freak. I think if he could have married Bruce, I was a very close second. Kathleen, what do you think is gonna happen in the fall?
I can see it both.
Please go ahead. Sorry.
I can see it both ways. I can see that people, they're vaccinated, they feel comfortable, they're ready to get back into it. But then I also can see the other side of that's when people are really sick. It's the flu, but they don't know if it's I can still see it both ways. That's why, like what Becca said, it's good that we have both the live stream and classes. But so they can have both. So if they don't feel comfortable going that month, they have us or they have another platform.
And we have a good question here. Mary says, I feel the same as Becca. I thought we'd be further along. But a different Mary says, can you recommend a good social media company? All right, I'm going to give you a little secret. I don't recommend a company. I recommend that you work with someone that knows you and that's good at social media, because they have to kind of find your voice. And also I kind of get yelled at by, not yelled at, Robin would never yell at me, but I get pushed where she's like, do a video. Like I made this great smoothie. I started cooking over the pandemic and I made this awesome smoothie, and I've been trying to, I did a video of it, and I'm sure it'll be posted tomorrow on our site and stuff, and it's kind of cool. But find somebody it's not a full-time job. Find somebody who's good at social media and have them help you. That's my advice on that one. Michelle, talking about going live, we were just talking, I'm nervous about the conferences. We're waiting until the fall, but you said there was a conference that's supposed to open at in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so there's the DCAC coming up, and the prediction was, we've all been saying we want to be back, we're over virtual, and you can see IDEA getting slammed all the time on one end saying, we're not back in person yet, and they're bummed, but yet enrollment was great. And then DCAC said, we're gonna have the first in-person event, and enrollment isn't where it looks like it should be. They are doing a hybrid model, and I think that, just personal opinion is, keep the virtual in some degree. And those of you that have virtual, keep making it better, because virtual is never going to go away, ever. I think people love the fact that they can be doing laundry while also attaining CECs or presenting at 2 different places in one weekend. So keep working on the virtual setting for sure. But yeah, and when you talk about fall, people aren't ready to go back. So enrollment hasn't been up, and fingers crossed come MANIA and Dallas and Midwest that we're on a where people just want to get out and have that networking, because it is different when you don't get to see your favorite presenters walk by you and everybody geeks out. And I mean, you don't have that connection piece when you're at a conference versus being at home and taking bathroom breaks without raising your hands.
Yeah, I love that. Geek out. I love that. And Jackie says, I love doing yoga in my PJs. I love that. It was one of the suggestions I had, is like, we should go live at the club, but we should have a pajama day, that everybody just shows up to take class in their pajamas, or at least maybe you wear a top and then your pajamas on the bottom, because that's the way, like right now, I'm literally wearing my workout skirt, and then I'll take my little top off, and because I want to look like, I don't know, whatever, for the webinars. But I think it's really interesting that, and DCAC does an amazing convention every year in August. I mean, it's a great conference. It's been going for, I don't even want to know, 20 some odd years. And it is a little bit scary that these things are coming back. I'm going to show you guys something, speaking of we're back, because at the MANIA conventions, we're going to do hybrid. We're going to have, I think it's 5 rooms that we're filming live. So we're going to be live streaming and recorded. And I think we might go from just live to being recorded. We'll see how we can work this out, but it's kind of fun for us to see where we're going to be going with this. So I'm going to show this. Ooh, wait, I'm going to stop sharing for a second, because I want to make sure that I put my sound on, because this is very, very cool. Here we go. This is our Midwest Mania site. So we're getting ready. The schedule's it's going to be launched, and it's going to be launched tomorrow, which is very exciting.
Wake up to the world you've been missing. Time to jump out of bed in the morning. No dead, no alive, now we're living. Can you feel it in the air that you're breathing? Time to show 'em what you're made of. Let's get back on track. Are you ready for a come on? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No coming down. Can you feel it all around? Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No coming down. Can you feel it all around? Welcome back. Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No coming down. Can you feel it all around? Welcome back. Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No coming down. Can you feel it all around? Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No coming down. Can you feel it all around?
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So we're excited we're coming back, but it's nerve-wracking. And then we had to figure out policies with, like, do we require people who are unvaccinated to wear a mask? You know, we're just sticking with local laws, because you gotta adhere to local laws, which says people don't have to wear a mask now, and CDC recommendations, which is not law, but it's just their recommendations that unvaccinated people wear masks. So that's what we're doing at MANIA, and we're not requiring people to show their vaccine card. We're going on the honor system with that. What do you guys think of that? Michelle, does that make sense?
I mean, that makes sense. I think when you were talking about the Bruce Springsteen concert and people having to show the vaccination card, I cannot tell you how many times I've traveled, because I teach sometimes in Mexico, where I will bring my vaccination card thinking, finally, it's like getting to show your ID when you're 18 and you get to buy a scratch ticket. Like, you're ready with this and you're proud. And well, it depends on the person, but I've not been carded once for my vaccination card. So, you know, what you said, I think there's a lot of logistics, and I think it's tricky. But at the same time, just even watching that video creates the hype. Like, I'm over here on the back end, like looking, okay, what SCW was this at? Am I in there? Like, people want to see if they're in their videos, and you don't get that when we're all virtual.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. And Krista, all right, give us a prediction and kind of a closing and how we can be more authentic with our why and reemerge after this pandemic as just a great instructor.
Again, I think that you just need to be yourself. If you give of yourself, you're going to reach people. So get out there, move, run around your block, do something in your cul-de-sac, bring people into the gym. We're doing small group trainings at our gym, which people are very excited about. Talk about it, be loud, be proud, keep your voice.
Keep your voice being heard.
Yeah.
That's great. Krista, will you do me a favor on your computer? Type in your website. So for CKB, so they can go and check it out. And Kathleen and Becca, what would you say is your closing remarks for tonight? Oh, we put it in. Thank you.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, she put it in.
There it is.
So Kathleen?
What is my closing remark to make
Yes.
about me? Sorry, my internet went out.
Oh, that's good.
Stay confident in who you are. Don't change. Don't change for the group. You stay true to who you are.
Okay, that's wonderful. And Becca?
Never stop being a student. Always be looking to be more creative, and remember what you're there for. And I mean, the minute you got to love fitness instructing to be doing it. And you got to remember that. And when you're down, just think, what am I bringing to these people? I'm bringing something good. So remember what you're bringing to the people and keep learning.
That's great. And Michelle, considering you deal with all these professionals on all these different levels, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Becca, you took the words right out of my mouth. Never stop learning. I think that there's no better time to get continuing education credits wherever you're getting them. And you're just going to pick up on little things, even if you attend webinars and you don't earn CECs necessarily, you're picking up on things that motivate you to go seek out something that you are invested or interested in. And just, yeah, like everybody said, to piggyback off of it, don't stop being who you are, why you came into the industry. And of course, we all evolve and we take different routes, and it might be a U-turn, and who knows where you end up. And we've all come from different backgrounds, but most likely all of us are here because we're in it for the purpose of motivating and inspiring people. So even if it's 5 a.m. and you're like, oh my gosh, I just wish I could hit snooze, know that when you arrive at 5:45 or whatever time your class starts, you're making a difference in so many people's lives. And my other takeaway would be, remember people's names. So make it a point, even if it's hard, they're going to feel so much more appreciated when you remember their name.
Yeah, that's going to be my hardest thing. I'm so used to Zoom where I can read people's names and I know these people. Like, I can't wait to see them at live and in person. I really want to thank you, Michelle and Krista and Becca and Kathleen. Thank you for joining me. Sean Carlson, you're a goddess. No, you don't get 3 weeks off, but she knows what I'm joking about. All right, ladies, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we hope to see you at a live event. Take care. Have a good night.